The lightsaber is one of the most important weapons at a Jedi's disposal. It is an essential part of a Jedi's training, in fact, to construct one's own lightsaber, which will serve as the primary method of defense when in combat. And because of the Jedi's commitment to these weapons, as well as their proficiency with the blades, the Sith, too, were forced to wield lightsabers of their own. As the ancient enemy of the Jedi, the Sith would have been setting themselves up for failure if they did not take the time to understand their opponent's fighting styles. And this is precisely why Darth Sidious took it upon himself to master all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. Despite the fact that neither Darth Sidious nor his master Darth Plagueis were big fans of lightsaber combat, they understood that the Jedi were skilled lightsaber duelists. While their opponents focused on their own teachings, solely devoting themselves to mastering all aspects of the light side of the Force, the Sith embraced a larger view of the Force, mastering the dark side but also understanding the light, and thus gaining insight into their opponent's methods. Although Palpatine saw the value in learning the ways of the Jedi, however, he actually despised the use of lightsabers, believing that the Sith were above the need for such weapons. Palpatine believed, and proved himself correct on many occasions, that he could defeat his opponents with the Force alone. But with that in mind, an obvious question arises. If Palpatine didn't feel that he needed lightsabers, why did he use them? And there's more than one answer to this question. First, Palpatine used his own lightsabers to mock the Jedi. He felt that the Jedi's reliance on such weapons presented weakness, and so he utilized his own pair of blades to poke fun at his enemies, sort of stooping down to their level to gain a sense of self-served gratification. And the second purpose for Palpatine's lightsabers is simply that he was no fool. While he was certainly arrogant, he knew that there were Jedi out there who could pose a threat to him. And so the use of his own lightsabers, which he was extremely skilled with, could indeed prove beneficial in situations like the ones that present themselves during the Clone Wars. With that in mind, it should also be noted that Palpatine rarely used lightsabers outside of the Clone Wars. In fact, he is never seen using them a single time after the Empire's rise to power. While the weapon proved useful against Master Yoda, Darth Sidious was quick to get rid of his sabers after the near eradication of the Jedi following the events of Order 66. In Return of the Jedi, Palpatine refers to the lightsaber as a Jedi's weapon, clearly demonstrating that he believes himself to be above them. And shortly after that statement, he easily overpowers Luke Skywalker with his use of Force lightning. And decades later, he does it again, quickly disarming and taking complete control of both Rey and Ben Solo. If we go back to the Clone Wars and look at Palpatine's duel against Maul and Savage Opress on Mandalore, it is clear that even though he does use his lightsabers for the battle, he does not need them. Throughout the duel, Palpatine fights and moves in a lazy, mocking fashion, clearly making fun of his opponent's reliance on their lightsabers. And then after he's had his fun and he's killed Savage, he puts his sabers away and manhandles Maul with what appears to be very little effort. Now, another interesting question about Sidious and his distaste for lightsabers is, why do all of his apprentices use them? And the answer for that question is a bit different for each individual. For Darth Maul, he just wasn't nearly as skilled with the Force as Palpatine or as either of Palpatine's later apprentices. Couple that reality with Maul's natural ferocity and arrogance, and the thirst for blood and internal desire to make his opponents feel his dominance, and wielding a lightsaber just made sense for him. If we look at Dooku, the answer is much different. Dooku was plenty skilled with the Force, but he was also one of the most skilled lightsaber duelists in the entire Jedi Order before leaving that life behind and eventually pledging himself to Sidious. So abandoning his lightsaber, which he was so highly effective and dangerous with, would have made little sense. And finally, when we come to Darth Vader, he too was a highly skilled lightsaber duelist in his past life as a Jedi. And he also suffered numerous crippling injuries in his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi, further increasing the need, or at least the logic behind him continuing to wield one, as it was a very useful weapon for him, both for defense and for attack. Darth Sidious did not have such weaknesses. He viewed himself as being superior to all of his apprentices, Darth Vader included. And when the threat of the Jedi no longer loomed, he did not hesitate to get rid of his own sabers and free himself of the reliance on such weapons. But that is going to wrap things up for me, so leave your thoughts on this video in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a thumbs up to support the channel, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and of course, may the Force be with you always.